Do you know what's hard? Carbs. And by that, I mean eating enough carbs required to fuel a marathon training plan. Now, believe me, I can put down some pasta, but for me, right now, fueling properly feels like a full time job. But it hasn't always been that way for me. If you've ever bonked or finished a long run or a race absolutely wrecked and depleted and wondering what went wrong, I'm going to share why underfueling, and in particular carbs, may be the likely culprit, as it was for me. And the answer may not be what you're expecting. Hi, I'm Jess. I am a personal trainer and run coach, and I am on week 3 of marathon training for my 15th marathon this spring that I am hoping to run a sub 4. Now, like most people, when I ran my first and second marathons, I was honestly just happy to survive. Like, I crossed the finish line, I'm alive, we're calling this a win. But every marathon after that, I knew something was off. I knew that I wasn't fueling properly. I felt miserable. I was bonking at mile 18, and I was literally crossing the finish line saying, I goofed up my nutrition. I hit the wall hard, like most people do, mile 18 to 20. I was hungry, dehydrated, miserable, and spent those final miles generally walking, questioning all my life's choices. I knew it was nutrition, so I spent years focusing on that. But it turns out I was looking at the wrong thing. Have you ever known an answer or come up with a solution and you knew it was right, but you couldn't exactly explain why? You just knew you had the right answer? This is sort of like that. I knew my nutrition was off, and I put all my energy into trying every single, and I mean every single thing: goos, gels, drinks, electrolytes, supplements, powders, sticks, gummies, everything. You name it, I tried it. I was convinced that I just hadn't found the right brand or formula for me. It turns out, right forest, wrong tree. Then, this last fall, I finally figured it out. And this is the part that makes me cringe a little now, because I have always tracked my food. And just before my taper this last fall, I finally sat down and reevaluated my daily nutrition. And at that time, I was running about 60 miles a week, and I was eating about 120 grams of carbs a day. That is not underfueling. That is training for a marathon on a wing and a prayer. Now, I admit, like most people, I had gone through a carbs bad phase that it seems I had never fully recovered from. I wasn't scared of carbs. I knew I needed them. I just hadn't sat down and figured out exactly how many carbs I actually needed for what I was expecting my body to do, and how often I needed to be eating those carbs. I thought eating low carb was healthy. It turns out on a daily basis, I was completely under eating for the work I was doing. So I immediately changed course and increased both my daily calorie intake and my carb intake. By increasing my carbs, I had to increase my calories. My protein and fat was good, fortunately. And honestly, it was a real challenge. Number one, it was a mental challenge because it seems like everything today is low carb or keto, and everybody is talking about you need to cut your carbs, you need to eat less sugar, you need to eat less refined. flour. And while I'm not disputing that, looking at an active lifestyle, you have to have carbs. You have to eat an appropriate number of carbs for the work you're doing. So mentally, I had to get over that hurdle. And physically, I had to get over that as well, because I had to triple the amount of carbs I was eating in a day just to get to where I needed to be. Now, I didn't fix things early enough to improve my training cycle, although I did improve on race day. What I did was I ate all the carbs. I completely changed course, ate all the carbs, with the exception of the day before the race, of course. And I followed my nutrition plan during the race. And it was the first race that I did not feel depleted. I did not cross the finish line and say, I would have finished faster if it weren't for that pesky nutrition. So for marathon number 15, I am doing things differently from the start. And I'm not going to lie, fueling properly feels like a full-time job. Part of my day is running, and the other part is me walking around eating crackers and drinking juice boxes like I'm a toddler. Just kidding. But seriously, if you want to know how to add more dates or sweet potatoes to your diet, please hit me up, because I know every single possible way. So after 13 years, I'm still figuring things out, but feel like I'm on to something this time around. I know I'm only 3 weeks into training, but I have gone from 28 to 42 miles a week. I feel great. My recovery has been excellent so far. My biometrics are great and showing that I'm adapting well. So I think adding carbs is a game changer. So if you are training for a marathon, or even just running more than you used to, and you feel flat, tired, constantly hungry, if you're searching for food a few hours after your runs, it might not be your fitness. And it might not be the miles. It's not that you need more coffee or you need to change the brand of the gels or the goo that you are taking. It might just be that you're not eating enough on a daily basis for the work that you're doing. So you have to look at your overall diet and your day-to-day fueling needs, even on recovery days, when your appetite actually goes up and you need the fuel to recover properly. Something I wish I knew 10 years ago, but hey, better late than never. So 15 marathons in, and it turns out the hardest part might be the miles. It's the meals. If you are training for something or have fueling advice for me, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear about it. And hit the subscribe button if you want to follow my journey to see if I can actually PR the Sugarloaf Marathon this spring. See you next week. Now I've got to run. Actually, I probably have to go eat.